The knock at midnight, the night was quiet. Too quiet. Ryan sat alone in his small metal cabin, the last light of his generator flickering beside him. Outside, the wind howled through the empty colony. Once thousands of people lived here. Now it was just him, one tired human surrounded by ruins. He liked it that way. No noise, no war, no voices telling him what to build or who to kill. Just silence. He sipped from his tin mug, staring at the old radio on the table. It hadn't worked in years. Sometimes when he felt lonely, he turned it on just to listen to the static. It almost sounded like rain. Then, that night, something broke the silence. Knock. Knock. Ryan froze. No one ever came here. Not in months. Not since the last shuttle left the planet. He waited, listening. Maybe it was the wind. Maybe some old metal sheet moving outside. Knock, knock. This time it was clear, 2 soft knocks. Not a machine. A hand. Ryan stood up slowly. His heart began to pound. He reached for the old pulse pistol on the wall and walked to the door. Who's there? He called out. No answer. Just the sound of rain hitting the roof. He unlocked the latch, pulled the heavy door open, and stopped. A girl stood there. Her skin was pale blue, glowing faintly in the dark. Her hair was silver, wet from the rain, sticking to her thin face. She was shaking, holding her arms close to her chest. An alien. For a moment, Ryan thought it was a trick. The war had ended years ago, but hatred still lived in his bones. He remembered the screams, the burning cities, the propaganda saying they were monsters. But this was no monster. She looked more like a lost child. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. I can cook.
I can clean.
I can be quiet. Ryan stared, unsure if he had heard right. What did you say? She looked down, tears mixing with the rain. Please, she whispered. Let me stay. For a long moment, neither moved. The cold wind blew between them, carrying the smell of wet dust and rust. Ryan looked around. No lights, no soldiers, no one chasing her. Still, he didn't trust it. Why are you here? He asked. Because you opened the door, she said weakly. Then her knees gave out. She fell to the ground, shaking. Ryan swore under his breath and caught her before she hit the floor. Her skin was freezing like ice. She weighed almost nothing. He carried her inside and laid her on the old sofa near the heater. Her breathing was slow, almost silent. He lit the fire, pulled a blanket over her, and sat nearby, watching. The faint blue glow from her skin made the shadows dance across the walls. He told himself to stay alert, to be ready. But as minutes passed, he felt something strange, not fear, not anger. Something else. Pity. She looked too fragile to hurt anyone. And her hands, they were calloused, burned, like someone who had worked too hard for too long. He found a dry towel and gently wiped the rain from her face. She didn't wake up. She only whispered something in her sleep. They're coming. Ryan's eyes narrowed. Who's coming? He asked quietly, but she didn't answer. He looked out the window, nothing but darkness. Still, his gut told him she wasn't lying. Something was out there. He checked his old rifle, locked the door, and sat back down near her. The rain kept falling, heavy and endless. For the first time in years, he wasn't alone. And yet somehow that made the night even more dangerous. He didn't know who she was or what she had done. He didn't know why she had come to him, a lonely human engineer at the end of the world. But he knew one thing. The moment he opened that door, everything changed. Outside, thunder rolled across the sky like a warning. Inside, the alien girl slept, her faint glow lighting the dark room. And Ryan sat there watching her, wondering what kind of trouble had just knocked on his door. The stranger inside morning came slowly. The gray light of dawn slipped through the cracked window, falling across the floor of Ryan's cabin. The fire had burned low. The rain outside had stopped, but the wind still whispered through the broken walls. Ryan woke up in his chair, his back stiff, his rifle still resting on his lap. For a second he thought the night had been a dream, but then he turned his head and saw her. The alien girl was still there. Wrapped in a blanket, her faint blue glow had faded with the light. She was breathing softly, her silver hair spread across the old sofa like threads of light. For a moment Ryan just watched. It felt strange, having someone in the house again. He hadn't shared this place with anyone since before the war. He stood up quietly and made some weak coffee on the stove. The smell filled the small room. Then from behind him a soft voice spoke. "What is that smell?" Ryan turned. She was awake now, her bright eyes blinking at the steam. "Coffee," he said. "Human drink. Helps you stay awake." She tilted her head. "You still have it." "After everything?" "Old habit," he said simply. He handed her a cup of warm water instead. She took it carefully, both hands shaking. "Thank you," she whispered. Ryan leaned against the table. "You never told me your name." She hesitated for a few seconds before saying softly, "Aaron." Ryan nodded slowly. "All right, Aaron, I'm Ryan." For a while they sat in silence. The only sounds were the soft crackle of the heater and the wind outside. Then Ryan finally asked the question that had burned in his mind all night. "Why did you come here?" Aaron looked down at her hands. Her skin had faint glowing lines running across her wrists, like small circuits. She stayed quiet for a long time before answering. "Because I had nowhere else to go," she said. "The cities are gone. The camps are gone. The humans. They hunt us when we're found." Ryan frowned. "Us? You mean hybrids?" she interrupted quietly. "I was made in the labs during the war. Half human, half alien. A test subject." "A mistake." Her voice broke on the last word. Ryan said nothing. He had heard rumors of such things. Secret experiments, desperate weapons. He just never thought one of them would end up knocking on his door. "And the people hunting you?" he asked. "Your people," she said softly. "The soldiers who want to erase everything that reminds them of us." Ryan clenched his jaw. He didn't deny it. He had seen what humans did during the war and after it. "You shouldn't have come here," he muttered. "If they find you with me, then they'll kill us both," she said calmly. Their eyes met. For a long moment, neither looked away. Then Aaron stood slowly and walked toward the window. She touched the glass, thin fingers leaving small glowing marks where she pressed. Outside, the ruins of the colony stretched for miles. Broken towers, burned earth, silent roads. "You live here alone?" she asked. "Yes," Ryan said. "And I liked it that way." "You don't anymore," she replied quietly. He didn't answer. A soft sound made him look down, one of his broken drones on the floor. He'd tried to fix it for weeks, but it never worked again. Irene bent down, curious. She touched the drone's cracked panel, and the lights flickered back to life. It lifted slightly off the ground, spinning weakly. Ryan's eyes widened. "How did you do that?" "I just spoke to it," she said softly. "Machines still listen to us." Ryan stared at her glowing fingertips. She wasn't lying. There was something in her. Something powerful and dangerous. He felt a chill run through him. Who was this girl, really? Aaron stood and turned toward him. "You helped me," she said quietly. "So I'll help you now." "Help me how?" he asked. She looked at the flickering lights above them and whispered, "By keeping you alive." "They'll come here soon." Ryan's heart tightened. "Who will?" Aaron's eyes glowed faintly in the half-light. "The ones who built me," she said, "and the ones who want me dead." Outside, in the far distance, thunder rolled again. But this time it didn't sound like a storm. Ghosts of the war. The sky stayed gray all morning. The wind carried the smell of dust and old smoke, like the war had never really ended. Ryan stood outside his cabin, scanning the horizon. His rifle hung from his shoulder, eyes sharp, searching for movement. Nothing. Just broken metal towers and the ruins of a world humans once tried to claim. Inside, Aaron sat near the fire, quietly fixing the broken drone. Her hands moved fast, gentle, sure, almost like she was talking to the machine. Every time her fingers brushed the wires, small sparks of blue light appeared. Ryan watched her through the doorway, uneasy but curious. "You do that often?" he asked. She looked up, a small smile on her lips. "It's what I was made for. To connect, to repair, to heal what humans broke." Ryan frowned. "You talk like it wasn't your war." "It wasn't," she said softly. "But we were made to fight in it." She set the half-repaired drone aside and stood, walking toward the window. Outside, the wind kicked up a cloud of gray dust. "There were thousands like me," she said quietly. "Born in labs, raised in silence, trained to obey orders we didn't understand." Ryan crossed his arms. "I heard stories about the hybrid units. They said you turned against us." Aaron looked at him, her eyes cold and sad. We didn't turn. We escaped. Her words hung heavy in the air. Ryan didn't reply. He remembered the war, the fire in the skies, the cities falling. He'd seen both humans and aliens die screaming. He never thought what happened to those left behind. After a long silence, Aaron asked softly, "You were a soldier, weren't you?" Ryan nodded slowly. "Engineer. Weapons division. I built the things that killed your people." "And you regret it?" "Every day," he said simply. The heater crackled softly, filling the silence between them. Then Ryan turned toward her. "You said someone's coming. Who are they?" Aaron hesitated, then spoke quietly. "The Ghost Division. Human recovery teams. They clean up what's left of us. They don't leave survivors." Ryan cursed under his breath. "If they're tracking you, they'll find this place." "Yes," she said calmly. "That's why I came here." He stared at her. "You brought them to me." Her voice trembled a little. "Not to hurt you. To stop them. I can't run anymore, Ryan, but maybe I can end this." Ryan looked into her glowing eyes and saw something strange. Not fear, not anger, but quiet courage. The kind only people who had lost everything could have. Still, the thought of humans killing another being, even one like her, twisted something inside him. He rubbed his face tiredly. "You think one broken hybrid and one old man can fight off a ghost division?" Aaron's lips curved into a faint smile. "I'm not broken," she said softly. "And you're not just an old man. You survived the end of the world. That means something." Before Ryan could reply, the drone on the table suddenly beeped. Its sensor light blinked red. Aaron frowned. "They're close," she whispered. Ryan grabbed his rifle and looked out the window. A faint shimmer in the sky like light bending. "Cloaked dropships," he muttered. "Ghost tech." He turned back to her. "We need to move." "No," she said. "We need to finish what they started." Aaron walked to the center of the room. The lines on her skin began to glow brighter, running up her neck and down her arms. Machines in the room started humming. The generator, the broken screens, even the radio that hadn't worked in years. Ryan took a step back, shocked. "What are you doing?" "Connecting," she said, her voice echoing strangely. "This colony still remembers. The machines, the wires, they all still listen." The lights flickered. The air grew heavy. Ryan felt the floor tremble under his boots. Outside, the sound of engines filled the distance, human ships descending through the clouds. Aaron's glow grew brighter, almost blinding now. "When they land," she said, "they'll see what they made." Ryan looked at her, at the strange, glowing being standing in his small metal cabin, and for the first time in years he felt something powerful rise inside him. Not fear, not hate, hope. The war had ended years ago, but maybe, just maybe, this time, humanity would finally see what it tried so hard to destroy. The storm descends. The sound came first, a deep, shaking rumble that made the ground tremble. Then through the thick gray clouds, bright white lights pierced the sky. Ryan grabbed his rifle and ran to the window. 3 ships were descending fast, their cloaking fields flickering in and out. They looked like ghosts falling from the heavens, cold, metallic, and merciless. Aaron stood in the center of the cabin, her skin glowing brighter with every second. The air around her hummed with strange energy, making the loose metal plates on the walls rattle. "They found me," she said quietly. "You mean they found us," Ryan muttered. He checked his old comm screen, no signal. He slammed it against the wall. "Damn it, everything's fried." "Not everything," Aaron said. Her voice sounded deeper now, more powerful, like it carried through the wires themselves. "The colony grid still works." "The machines remember me," Ryan frowned. "What does that even mean?" Aaron looked at him, eyes glowing like twin stars. "It means we're not as helpless as we look." Outside, the first ship landed near the ruins. Dust and fire filled the air as soldiers in black armor spread out in formation. Their helmets reflected the light. No faces, no emotions. Ryan's heart pounded. "They'll scan for life signs. This cabin won't hide us for long." "Then we don't hide," Aaron said. She stepped forward and placed her hand on the metal floor. Instantly, blue light spread out from her touch, crawling like veins through the old building. The generator roared to life, machines humming, lights flickering on across the colony. Ryan could barely believe his eyes. "You just woke up the whole grid." Yes, she said. Now it listens. The screens lit up around them. Old cameras, sensors, security turrets long thought dead. Images flashed across the monitors. Soldiers moving through the ruins, scanning with weapons raised. They're 20 minutes out, Aaron said calmly. Then we make a stand, Ryan replied. He checked his rifle, loaded the last of his energy cells, and took a deep breath. He hadn't fought in years. His hands shook slightly, not from fear, but from memory. He looked at Aaron. If this goes bad, you run. If this goes bad, she said softly, there won't be anywhere to run. The words hung heavy in the air. Outside, thunder rolled, not from the sky this time, but from human engines. The Ghost Division was coming closer. Minutes later, the first explosion hit. A plasma round tore through the outer wall, throwing dust and smoke into the cabin. Ryan ducked behind the table, firing back. The sound of gunfire filled the air, mixed with the electric hum of Aaron's energy. She stood in the middle of the chaos, eyes closed, lips moving silently. The floor glowed under her feet and spreading outward like a living pulse. Then suddenly, the old colony defenses came alive. Turrets turned, targeting systems blinked red, and robotic drones lifted into the air, their weapons humming. Ryan stared in shock. You did this? No, Aaron said, her voice trembling with power. We did. The machines fired, bursts of energy slicing through the gray morning. Human soldiers scattered, some diving for cover, others shouting into their comms. Ryan fired beside her, his shots precise, his instincts returning. He wasn't fighting for orders now. He was fighting for her. The battle raged outside, and soon the air was thick with smoke and static. Ryan's rifle overheated, and he threw it aside, grabbing a sidearm. He turned to see Aaron collapse to her knees, the light around her flickering. Stop, he shouted, running to her. I can't, she whispered. It's too much. He caught her before she hit the floor. Her pulse was weak, her glow fading. Outside, the soldiers regrouped. Their commander's voice echoed through a loudspeaker. Surrender the hybrid and you will not be harmed. Ryan looked down at Aaron, then at the soldiers. His jaw tightened. Not a chance. He stood, grabbed his rifle again, and stepped outside into the storm of dust and gunfire. Lightning flashed across the clouds, illuminating the ruins of the colony, and the lone human standing his ground beside a dying alien girl. He fired until the clip ran dry, until his arms burned and the world shook. The Ghost Division kept coming, cold and silent, but Ryan didn't care. Inside the cabin, Aaron opened her eyes one last time. Her voice, weak but clear, echoed through every wire, every circuit, every machine in the colony. Ryan, don't give up. And then, all at once, the lights across the entire colony blazed to life, brighter than ever before. The storm had come. But so had the fight. The light within the machine, the world burned with light. For a few heartbeats, everything was white. The ruins, the sky, even the soldiers frozen mid-step. The old machines of the colony glowed as if the dead world itself had come alive again. Then, slowly, the light faded, and silence fell. Ryan blinked through the smoke, his rifle still warm in his hands. The soldiers were gone, some thrown back by the blast, others retreating behind fallen walls. Inside the cabin, Aaron lay still on the floor. Her skin no longer glowed. Her silver hair was dull and tangled. Ryan ran to her side, dropping his weapon. Aaron, hey, wake up. No answer. Her chest rose and fell faintly like the breath of someone halfway between life and death. He pressed his hand against her cheek. It was cold, too cold. Come on, he muttered. You're not dying on me, not after all this. He checked her pulse again, still there, weak but steady. Then, something strange happened. The radio on the table, the one that hadn't worked for years, crackled to life. Ryan, he froze. The voice was soft, broken, but unmistakable. Aaron's voice. Aaron, he whispered. Where are you? I'm here. The generator hummed, the walls glowed faintly blue, and for the first time Ryan realized she wasn't just in the machines. She was the machines now. Her consciousness had spread through the entire colony. Ryan stood looking around as her voice echoed through every wire, every circuit, every metal plate. You merged with the grid, he said softly. I didn't mean to, she whispered. The energy, it pulled me in. But I can see everything now. Every tower, every drone, every soldier. Outside, through the smoke, Ryan saw movement. Ghost Division soldiers regrouping, their scanners sweeping the colony. They're coming again, he said. I know, Erin replied, her voice echoing through the speakers. But this time, we're ready. The ground vibrated as the colony came alive once more. Broken defense turrets turned toward the invaders. Drones lifted from the dust and the shattered lights across the streets burned with blue fire. Ryan picked up his rifle and stepped outside again. Above him, the storm cloud swirled like boiling smoke. A strange calm filled him. For the first time in years, he wasn't alone. Not really. Erin's voice followed him through the comms. They're advancing from the north. 5 units. I'll guide you. Copy that, Ryan said, his voice steady. He moved through the ruins, keeping low, firing only when Erin called the shots. Every blast was perfect. Every ambush was predicted. It was like she could see the future. Or maybe just every camera, every sensor, every hidden path. Ryan, she said softly between orders. Do you still hate my kind? He paused behind a broken wall. I don't know, he admitted. I think I just forgot how to see people as people. Then maybe, she said, you're seeing again. Her words cut through the sound of gunfire like a small light in the dark. One by one, the soldiers fell back. Their commander shouted through static-filled comms. Pull out. It's alive! The entire colony is hostile. Ryan watched them retreat toward their ships, disappearing into the smoke. The battle was over. For a long moment, all he could hear was the wind and the faint hum of power under his feet. Aaron, he said, breathing heavily. We did it. You did, she replied. Her voice was faint now, distant. Where are you? He asked quietly. There was a pause. Everywhere, she said, but fading. Ryan felt a sharp ache in his chest. No, you hold on, you hear me? I'll fix this. You can't, she whispered. My body is gone. I can't go back, but I'm not afraid anymore. He clenched his fists, eyes burning. You said we'd end this together. We did, she said softly. You gave me a reason to fight. You gave me a home even for a little while. The lights around the cabin flickered weakly. Aaron. Goodbye, Ryan. And then, silence. The blue lights faded one by one until the colony went dark again. Ryan stood alone in the ruins, the wind howling through the empty towers. But he didn't feel alone anymore. Somewhere in the circuits, in the steel, in the quiet hum of the dead machines, he could still feel her presence. And as the first light of dawn touched the broken horizon, Ryan whispered, You can rest now. Aaron, I'll keep your light alive. The message in the static, the world was quiet again. The smoke from the battle drifted across the dead colony, curling through the ruins like ghosts. The ships were gone. The Ghost Division had fled, and Ryan was still alive. He sat beside the cold fire, staring at the empty sofa where Aaron had once lain. The blanket she used was still there, damp and torn, a small reminder that she had been real, not just a dream or a ghost made of light. He hadn't slept. Not since she vanished into the grid. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw her face, our silver hair, glowing skin, soft voice saying, I can cook. I can clean. I can be quiet. He smiled weakly at the memory. You were never quiet, Aaron, he whispered. You were the loudest thing that ever happened to this dead world. He stood and looked around the cabin. The lights were off. The machines were silent. But something inside him said she wasn't truly gone. Ryan walked to the radio, the same one that had once played only static. It sat there, lifeless, a piece of junk from another age. Still, he turned the dial just to hear the noise. Static. He closed his eyes and listened. And then something flickered, a faint tone. A soft rhythm hidden under the static, almost like a heartbeat. Ryan leaned closer. Aaron, he said quietly. Is that you? The static shifted and a faint whisper broke through. Ryan. His heart jumped. I knew it. You're still here. Not all of me, the voice said weakly. But enough. Ryan's hands shook. You said you were fading. I am, she whispered. But before I go, I had to leave you something. The radio clicked. And suddenly the nearby screen flickered to life, old blue data symbols streaming across it. Aaron's voice continued. I found something in the colony's mainframe, before I merged with it. Records, Blueprints, experiments. Your people were trying to fix what they broke. A cure. Ryan frowned. A cure for what? For us, she said softly. For the hybrids. For the sickness they built into our genes. It was meant to erase us all. But there's data here that could stop it. Ryan stared at the flickering screen, his chest tightening. You mean you found a way to save your kind? Maybe, she whispered. If someone finishes the code. If someone brave enough believes in it, Ryan clenched his fists. Tell me what to do. The data is hidden under the colony core. Deep underground. You'll have to go alone. He nodded, already grabbing his gear. You're not gone yet, Aaron. I'll get it. I promise. Ryan. What? When you find it, don't give it to the soldiers. Give it to the people, to the ones who still remember what mercy means. Ryan swallowed hard. I will, I swear it. The static began to fade again. My time's almost done, she said softly. But if you ever hear the wind through the wires, that'll be me. Watching, listening. Ryan touched the radio gently, like it was something alive. Goodbye, Aaron. No, Ryan, she whispered, her voice barely there now. Not goodbye, just until later. And then silence. The radio went dead. Ryan stood still for a long moment, his heart heavy but full of purpose. He turned toward the broken door and looked out over the gray wasteland. The colony was dead, but beneath it, hope still slept. He slung his pack over his shoulder, took one last look at the empty room and whispered, You saved me, Aaron. Now it's my turn. He stepped outside. The sun was rising, faint light cutting through the fog. For the first time in years, it didn't look cold. It looked alive. As he walked toward the ruins, the wind blew softly through the wires above, and for a heartbeat he swore he heard her voice in the static. Keep going. Human, he smiled. I'm going. And with that, Ryan disappeared into the ruins, carrying the last hope of two species. One human, one not. And the memory of the girl who had changed everything. The core of light. The wind howled through the ruins as Ryan walked toward the old colony core. The ground was cracked and scorched from the battle, and smoke still drifted through the air. Each step echoed like a memory, of war, of loss, of all the years he had spent alone. But this time he wasn't walking for himself. He was walking for her. The entrance to the colony's underground lab was hidden beneath the control tower, half buried in debris. Ryan cleared the rubble with trembling hands until he found a narrow steel door. It took 3 tries and an old keycard to open it, but when it finally hissed, stale air rushed out, cold and dry, untouched for years. He stepped inside, flashlight cutting through the darkness. The walls were lined with dead monitors and flickering cables. Dust floated in the beam like tiny stars. Somewhere deep below, the machine still hummed faintly. She had told the truth. The place was still alive. Ryan followed the sound until he reached a massive chamber. At the center stood a giant glass cylinder filled with soft blue light. The core inside the glass, cables pulsed like veins. Data streamed across old holographic panels, code, symbols, equations. And in the middle of it all, a soft voice whispered through the static. Ryan. He froze. Aaron? You came. Her voice was faint, like an echo through water, but it was her. He smiled, tears burning his eyes. Of course I came. You told me there was something here. The code, she said. It's hidden in the core. It can heal what they destroyed, but it needs a choice. A choice? He asked quietly. If you activate it, the cure will spread across the network. To every machine, every signal, every hybrid. It will give them back their lives, but... She hesitated. It will erase me completely. Every part of me that's left inside the grid. Ryan's breath caught. No, there has to be another way. There isn't, she whispered. If you don't start it, the code will die here, and so will everyone like me. He stood there for a long time, silent. The blue light reflected in his eyes, cold and bright. He remembered the night she'd first knocked on his door. The rain, her trembling voice, her promise to be quiet and useful just to survive. And he remembered how she changed him, how she taught him to care again. Now she was asking him to let her go for good. Aaron, he whispered, you gave me back my life. I can't just... You can, she said softly. Because that's what humans do. They sacrifice for something greater. He stepped closer to the console. The activation key glowed faintly under a thick layer of dust. His hand hovered above it, shaking. Will it hurt? He asked. No, she said gently. It'll be like falling asleep. Just promise me one thing. Anything. Remember me not as a weapon, but as someone who tried to be human. Ryan swallowed hard. His chest ached, but he smiled. A sad, tired smile. You were the most human person I ever met. He pressed the button. The chamber filled with blinding light. The core roared to life. Waves of blue energy surging through the walls, the cables, the ground. Outside, across the dead colony, machines flickered and woke, one by one. Ryan shielded his eyes as the light grew brighter. Through the static, Aaron's voice came one last time, soft and full of peace. Thank you, Ryan, for opening the door. And then, silence. When the light faded, the core was still. The code was gone. The machines quiet again. But Ryan knew. Somewhere far away, others like her were waking. Alive. Free saved. He stood there, surrounded by the hum of reborn technology, and for the first time in his life, he didn't feel empty. He looked up at the glowing ceiling and whispered, You did it, Aaron. Outside, dawn broke over the horizon. The sky turned from gray to gold, the light falling softly.